Yes, so we've signed a memorandum of understanding with the National Cybersecurity Council to really help elevate the cybersecurity posture of the country. So we're involved in writing national level policies. We helped with the National Bug Bounty Program. We're working with the National Security Operations Center. So we're really involved in a lot of different projects that the CSC is engaged in. So Beacon Red is all about capability development for national security partners and critical infrastructure within the country. So we have introduced a number of different cybersecurity solutions to really help critical infrastructure and the government around cybersecurity. One is a range on wheels, which is basically a cybersecurity range that is isolated and contained that can be brought into an organization where they can replicate and emulate their own environments for penetration testing, for integration testing, a whole host of different really opportunities for them to practice on a replication of their environment without impacting the production environment. So critical infrastructure, there's a number of different areas. You have the energy sector. In the UAE, there's also the nuclear sector, so they are in the process of building 4 nuclear reactors to produce power. You have the water sector, you have transportation, you have aviation, you have government itself. So there's a number of different sectors that basically make life possible here in the Emirates, and anything that would impact that would actually cause impact to the life we live in the UAE. So AI is kind of a broad term. I also use machine learning because different algorithms with AI have different use cases. But in general, with machine learning and artificial intelligence, you're really trying to help reduce the amount of data that you're looking at to solve different problems. So it's not feasible for humans to be able to process all this information. So being able to leverage some of these technologies to reduce the amount of data that a human needs to look at, and I'll use a security operations center as an example, there's just too much data coming in. So leveraging machine-assisted analytics, it allows our human analysts to really prioritize those items, those alerts that are of most important to review it with a human and be able to then respond much more quickly to cyber attacks and be able to really filter out a lot of the information that's not necessarily relevant to a human analyst. And I'd say ransomware, for one, is not an emerging threat. It's been around for a while. It's evolving into much more challenging. From my standpoint, and we talk about critical infrastructure specifically, our concern is around cyber attacks against critical infrastructure. And that is because if you take down water treatment plant, you take down power generation, power distribution, that impacts lives. If they're attacking autonomous vehicles, if they're attacking those things, that impacts lives. So our concern is really around cyber attacks against operational technologies, ICS systems, SCADA systems, and how we can either prevent that from happening or detect it early so we can really mitigate any of those types of impacts happening across the critical infrastructure space. There's a couple aspects. So Beacon Red has a threat intelligence cell. So it's called the Beacon Red Intelligence Center, and that is continuously monitoring the dark web, the deep web, looking for threat actors that are selling access, selling credentials, being able to interface with those threat actors, buy certain credentials if necessary. So we're really trying to be more proactive. And so what we're seeing within that space is it's not a surprise that people are targeting certain infrastructures. It's not a surprise that people that have access are trying to sell that. So being able to monitor and actually engage with threat actors to understand what they're doing and be able to buy that access and be able to prevent that access from being sold to other malicious actors is one aspect. The other is being able to work with the critical infrastructure space and have better visibility. So passively looking at how we can see that environment, see vulnerabilities that are associated with that environment, and putting together mitigations. In some cases, vulnerabilities will exist because they have to, but being able to prevent external access, being able to prevent them from being exploited is the next best thing to really resolving the vulnerabilities that exist.